Good morning, everyone in the virtual room and watching on Charm TV. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City's April 15th, 2021 virtual hearing. My name is Nicholas Blendy, and I am the Deputy Executive Secretary. I will, if you can follow the PowerPoint presentation online, I'll be going over these items before the chairman calls the first case. So, first of all, as everyone can tell, we are operating on the WebEx platform. In our virtual world, we are utilizing this technology to continue to conduct business, and you can see all of the information on the screen. To participate, you click the link. We'll get you moved into the panel if you're a licensee when your case is called, and we'll move forward accordingly. The call-in information for any member of the public who wishes to listen is also listen only, listed there at the bottom of the slide. All materials, evidence, and related items for today's docket are available on our website under the April 15th, 2021 section of our website. And all evidence in the virtual world is subject to the board's 48-hour rule for online hearings, meaning that all evidence that will be before them today must have been submitted by 11 a.m. on Tuesday, April 13th. In addition, all of the licensees have been served with the summons for today. How it's going to work, I will be reading these preliminary instructions and the general ground rules for the hearing process. I'll be calling the cases in the order listed on the docket. The chairman will then be asking the licensee, his or her representative, and any and all BLLC inspectors and staff or other agency personnel to be sworn in by the court reporter. I will be calling each case, and then the board will conduct an evidentiary hearing to the specifics of the violations alleged. This will include witnesses, hearing testimony, reviewing any documents that have been entered into the record to determine whether or not a violation has occurred. Upon the conclusion of this hearing, which may include closing arguments by the licensee or their representative, the board will take a vote to determine whether or not a violation occurred. If the board does find that a violation has occurred, the board may hear testimony or review additional evidence before imposing a sentence. At that moment, the board will provide an opportunity to the general public to present any testimony at the mitigation phase. And that is when I will ask if an individual would like to testify, and I will ask you to please use the raise your hand feature within WebEx. It is located at the bottom of your screen. And remember that any individual who is testifying today is subject to questioning by the board, cross-examination by an attorney or their applicant, and you will have to be sworn in by our court reporter to testify under oath. Upon hearing all of the evidence and the testimony from the mitigation phase, the board will then make a sentencing determination, which might include a fine, a suspension, or a revocation of the license. Some general ground rules for this virtual hearing process. We ask that you please mute yourself when you're not speaking to minimize feedback and extra noise. When you are first addressing the board, please identify yourself and state the spelling of your name for our court reporter before you speak. We ask that you please speak slowly and in a clear voice so that our court reporter understands exactly what is being said and who is saying it. We note that this, as I said at the outset, this event is running live on Charm TV, and a court reporter is here present taking records. Any individual who uses profanity, is disrespectful, or otherwise unruly may be expelled from this hearing. And all attendees who is wishing to provide any testimony to the board will be sworn in before they're allowed to provide testimony. Some reminders: we ask that you be prepared ahead of time, have tested your video, and if you are in a specific location, when your case is called, we ask that you be in a quiet space with good light, a good internet connection, so that you can be seen and heard clearly by the board. We ask that you stay present in the moment, aren't multitasking, and above all, since everyone understands the challenges of technology, please be patient with yourself and with others as we navigate the WebEx environment. With all that said, the short docket is up on the screen. There are 4 violation cases being heard today. Mr. Chairman, do you have anything you wish to say, or are you prepared to move to the first case?
Let's start. Okay.
Okay. The first case is licensee Dennis Clark, Michael Clark, and Ernst Young, DVML Inc., trading as Colada Pub, 2918 O'Donnell Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Licensee is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license holder. Licensee is alleged to have violated Rule 4.16 illegal conduct and 3.12 general welfare for an incident arising on January 17th, 2021, and a violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct and Rule 3.12 general welfare from an incident occurring allegedly on February 19th, 2021. Licensee is represented by Mr. Harris Eisenstein, who I am moving into the panel now, and my understanding is all licensees who will be testifying are with him. Mr. Eisenstein, you just need to turn your video on. You've been moved into the panel.
Good morning. Harris Eisenstein. Should I spell my last name for the court reporter?
That's fine. And then for the record, okay.
Sure. So it's Harris Eisenstein, Eisenstein. I'm joined by Caroline Hecker, who is standing in the video, and our clients, Vivian Clark to my immediate left, and Paul Kuda next to Vivian.
Okay. And Mr. Eisenstein, will these be admissions or denials?
The incident on January the 17th will be a denial. On February 19th, it's an admission, although we wish to provide evidence in terms of the reason for exceeding capacity, which at that time was 25%, and mitigation efforts taken since.
Okay, look, whoever is going to testify on behalf of the licensees and whoever is going to testify on behalf of the board in the first, the January 17th incident, please be sworn.
For the board, I believe it's Inspector Washington.
Okay, thank you. Will the reporter please swear them?
Ms. Baranowski, we can't hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Would I be able to get the names of the people that are with Mr. Eisenstein one more time before I swear them in?
Sure. It's Vivian Clark, and there's an E at the end of Clark.
Okay, thank you.
And Paul Kuda, C-U-D-A.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, please raise your right hands, and Inspector Washington as well. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please state your name before your response.
Vivian Clark, yes. Paul Kuda, yes.
Inspector Kenyatta, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Inspector Washington, can you tell us what you observed on January 17th at this location?
Yes. On January 17th, 2021, approximately 7 p.m., I arrived at 2918 O'Donnell Street. Upon walking in, I observed 3 patrons standing at the bar in front of them.
Oh, sorry, that's all cutting out, I think. Okay.
Should I start over?
Yes, please start over.
Okay, on January 17th, 2021, approximately 7 p.m., I arrived at 2918 O'Donnell Street. Upon walking in the establishment, I observed 3 patrons standing at the bar with beers in front of them watching the football game. 2 of them had bottled beers and 1 had a 32-ounce container open with no lid. At this time, I spoke with the manager and informed him of Mayor Scott's executive order and advised them that they were in violation of the executive order. While speaking with the manager, the 3 patrons that were there exited the establishment. Mr. Cooter told me that they were waiting for food. I advised him while waiting for food is not in violation of the mayor's executive order, but waiting for food with open containers was in violation. And this time I exited and a violation was issued.
Thank you. Mr. Eisenstein, do you have questions for the inspector?
I do, just very briefly. Mr. Washington, good morning. You referenced the order that was in effect on, I think the effective date was December 11th, 2020. You understand that it permitted a restaurant like Colada to sell food and beverage for carryout, correct?
That's correct.
And you understand that customers were permitted to walk up to Colada to place a to-go order for food, beverage, or both, wait for that order, and then leave with that order, correct?
That's correct.
So the order in place does not prohibit a customer from holding a to-go beverage while waiting for to-go food, correct?
Can you repeat that question?
The order that was in place did not prohibit a customer from holding a to-go beverage while waiting for their to-go food, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all the questions I have.
I have a quick question. So, Inspector, the patrons who had the bottles of beer, were they open?
Yes, they were.
Did you see anyone consuming any alcohol?
When I came in, one had, I can't remember offhand, but one had it in his hand and set it down, but they were just standing at the bar with them all open.
Okay. Thank you. Did Mr. Eisenstein, did you want to put on testimony?
I do. The first witness is Paul Kuda. Mr. Kuda, can you describe for the board your background with Colada?
I'm the general manager. I've been employed with Colada for 20 years, over 20 years. And I oversee all the daily operations of the business.
Now, focusing on Sunday, January 17th, were you the manager on duty that evening?
I was.
Can you describe in your own words what happened around 7 p.m. that evening?
7 p.m. I came out of the kitchen. Unfortunately, we were all carry out then, so I'm putting all the orders together and everything. When I came out of the kitchen with carry out bags, I saw Mr. Washington at the end of the bar. I assumed he was an Uber driver picking up food. And we had some customers at the bar. They were waiting on food. But as far as I know, everything closed and everything was to go.
Okay, well, let's focus just for a moment on the customers at the bar. Those customers had either ordered to-go beverages or to-go food?
Yes.
And you had just said a moment ago, if they ordered to-go beverages, how exactly are the beverages served?
Closed.
They're closed. So there's either a lid on it or the beer bottle is not open. Okay. And the customers in question that evening that had to-go beverages, were they all waiting for to-go food?
Yes.
And when they received their to-go or carry-out products, did they exit the premises?
Yes.
Okay. Since that date in January, has the restaurant had any similar violation?
No.
That's it for Mr. Kuda. I'm now going to call Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, can you describe to the board your role at Colada?
I'm the owner.
Okay. And when did the restaurant open at 2918 O'Donnell Street in Baltimore?
May of 1995.
Okay. Can you describe just briefly the restaurant's involvement with the community over the past 26 years?
We are very involved in the community. We are members of the Canton Community Association. We are also members of the O'Donnell Square Business District Association. We also are big contributors and to both churches. The one is the church on the square, that's what it's called. And the other is St. Casmer's. Do a lot of fundraisers for them, donations. Through the COVID thing, we were the church on the square, an advocate for the homeless. We did some donations there. We are very involved with the community organizers. We attend the CCA meetings. I think we're very good stewards and partners in Canton. I truly do, and that has been since day one.
Now, in the first 25 years of operation, so from May 1995 through March 2020, which is the date that COVID really hit Baltimore City. How many times was the restaurant cited for an alleged violation of the liquor board's rules and regulations?
One time,
And do you recall when that citation was?
2009, but that's all I can recall.
Okay. Do you recall how that matter was resolved?
I do.
Okay. Can you describe?
Well, a cadet came in. My bartenders were changing shifts. It was a very seasoned bartender who's with us for years, an older gentleman. For some reason, it happened. My husband and I were immediately called. We went down to the restaurant. We had all our bartenders and everyone in, we got them all together. We told them we were extremely disappointed that that happened, but it did, and we would move forward. But please make sure, no matter what, if it's a shift change, if it's the first order of the day or the last, that everyone is carded. And of course, we had our hearing, and then that was the end of it for us.
Okay. So in the first 25 years of operating, there was one violation?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's fast forward to the current time, beginning in March of 2020. Did you familiarize yourself with the governor's orders and the mayor's various orders that restricted operations of restaurants?
Yes, we did. We were very in tune to that. Paul, myself, my son, when we would know that they were having a conference, we would all be sitting there with our notes in front of us, taking notes, so we made sure we all understood what was going on.
Okay. Can you just describe very briefly some of the challenges your restaurant has faced over the past 13 months?
First of all, it's a revenue challenge. It's been very challenging. It has also been a staffing nightmare. We tried to keep our essential people working, meaning Mr. Kuda and all my kitchen staff, because we realized opening back up with no staff that's trained would almost be impossible. We did have to lay off some servers. We did lay off bartenders. We laid off our doormen at the time when we were closed. We're trying now to get that all back. As far as the revenue, we put a lot of personal money back into the place to keep more for payroll, to keep our employees working and secure their jobs for them. Pretty much that's it, but the revenue and staffing were probably the biggest issues.
Okay. And those challenges continue today?
Absolutely.
Okay. Did the changing executive orders create any challenges for you
Well,
as well?
they did because of staffing. Now, when he would give us a little bit more, we couldn't get the staff in. Getting product in. Yes. And, there were times it was all restaurants will tell you it was extremely challenging because we were in uncharted waters. We turned into a full-fledged bar and restaurant, pretty much into a sub shop. Then we had to revert back to a full-fledged restaurant, and it wasn't easy to do that.
Okay. Now, I just want to focus on January 17th for a moment. How long have you employed Mr. Kuda?
Been over 20 years.
Okay. And how would you describe him as an employee?
Loyal, honorable. I trust him because he closes my restaurant 5 nights a week, and he handles all our cash and credit cards and our employees. Very honorable, very trustworthy, and he's honest, very honest, sometimes to a fault, but a guy of very few words, I will say that. That's he's like one of my children. He's definitely part of this journey we're on here.
Okay. And so after he informed you of the January 17th incident, were you able to confirm that the restaurant was in fact operating in compliance with the mayor's orders?
We thought we were. We understood.
January 17th.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I understood that completely. I immediately went down there the next day because that was 7:00 in the evening. I went down the next day and I made sure that everyone in there understands. No one, if the customer even opens the beverage, you need to say to them, you cannot do that. You have to keep the beverage closed to your off premise. I made sure every bartender, every server and Paul, they knew that, but I reiterated that the next day because that was unnecessary for anything like that to even happen.
Okay, so it is your view consistent with Mr. Kuda's view that there was no violation on January 17th?
Absolutely, and I went back and I viewed our cameras and I didn't see anything. And like I told Paul would not deliberately or unintentionally let that happen. He's too on his game for that kind of stuff.
Can we shift to the February 19th date, Mr. Eisenstein? So those are going to be admissions with explanation?
Correct.
All right, let's proceed.
So, Ms. Clark, I'll stay with you. The confusion, if you will, on the February date related to capacity limits that were permitted at Colada, 25% capacity. Can you explain to the board how you interpreted the then existing mayoral order as it related to capacity?
When he gave the order of 25%, my mind, because I assumed it was 25% of my total capacity, which on my liquor license, it's 354. Our place is large. So I had said to Paul, I said, well, this isn't that horrible for us because we are a big, we have a big venue here. So I thought it was 25% of the 354, and that is an honest mistake. Now, with that being said, we thought it would be like 88 people upstairs. I probably was a few people over that. I will admit to that. That has not happened since then. We have hired additional staff. We have hired doormen. We brought our doormen back they have counters. We've had the liquor board and the fire and the health department come in since then, and they keep giving us a thumbs up. We rectified the problem that we thought. We have a doorman at the front door, and we have a doorman at the bottom of the steps that go up to the upstairs, just to make sure no one sneaks by our managers or our bartenders and violates the number up there.
Okay, so in addition to all those precautions and procedures you put in place, have there been any similar violations since February?
No, they've been by several times, and they give us a thumbs up, and that's what I want. And my staff is very, very, very well informed of what I expect of them.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. If there are any questions from Ms. Clark, they're welcome now. Otherwise, I would like to submit just a closing argument.
Yeah, let me just see if the commissioners have any questions. I do not.
Commissioner Guy, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Greenfield, I don't think we could hear you.
Is he muted?
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
My apologies. Very briefly, Inspector Washington, very briefly, were they cooperative?
Yes.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have, before Mr. Eisenstein continues, did we have any public members who wish to testify?
Mr. Chairman, that would be after the board makes a finding on the violation.
Okay. All right, Mr. Eisenstein, briefly, did you want to be heard?
Yes. So just to summarize, January 17th, it's our position that there was no violation and that the inspector observed customers picking up to-go food and to-go drinks. On February 19th, yes, we concede that that we exceeded capacity limits, which was a regrettable mistake due to confusion over the mayoral orders, and it has not happened since. Aside from these two violations, there's been one violation in the 26-year history of this restaurant. In response to these violations, the licensees immediately enhanced their procedures, and there's been no violations since. Considering their compliance record, the mitigation efforts, and frankly, the incredible challenges that are facing the restaurant industry as a result of COVID, the licensees asked the board to either dismiss the violations or impose no monetary or other penalty.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you. With respect to the violations that are charged on January 17th, I would find the licensees not guilty of any violation on those, given their explanation as well as the fine record that they have. As to the Rule 4.16 violation on February 19th, 2021, given their admission, I would find a violation on that date. And as to the Rule 3.12 general welfare charge on February 19, 2021, given their admission, I would find a violation on that date. Again, they have an excellent record. I would impose nominal fines of $50 as to each of those and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, consideration of the proffer of Mr. Eisenstein and the testimony of Mrs. Clark, I'm sorry, I believe it was Mrs. Clark. I would also agree not to find violation on Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, that took place on January the 17th. I would not find them in violation on those two matters. But on violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, which took place on February the 18th, I concur with the fine of $50 for each offense, payable in 30 days.
So based upon the charging document, the proffers from Mr. Eisenstein, the testimony from Ms. Clark and Mr. Kuda, I actually do find a violation of Rule 4.16 on January 17, 2021. I do think it's a violation that there was an open 32-ounce container with no lid. And I also find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on January 17, 2021, but recognize I'm in the minority here. With respect to February 19, 2021, I find a violation of Rule 4.16, legal conduct, and based upon the good record, would concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. And as to the violation of, I find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on February 19, 2021, and would also concur with the imposition of a $50 fine.
So, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for going out of order there. I guess everyone will forgive me for a moment of brain inclarity. So we'll go to if any member of the public wishes to testify or be heard on this matter any further, please use the raise your hand feature. Mr. Chairman, I do apologize for my earlier statement, but no one from the public has used the raise your hand feature.
Thank you. Ms. Russell, do we have exhibits?
Yes, I'd like to close exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Washington. Board Exhibit 2, violation report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 3, Mayor Executive Order dated 1/22/21.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Eisenstein.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensees will receive follow-up from the board regarding your fines via U.S. mail.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, are you prepared for the next case?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me move Mr. Kadensky in. Item number 2 on the docket today, licensee Jeremy Freeman, Club Seduction LLC, trading as Club Seduction, 6820-24 Eastern Avenue, 21224. Licensee is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license holder. Licensee is charged with two violations dating from the same incident on February 27th, 2021, a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare. And my understanding is all persons who wish to testify for the licensee are with counsel.
That's correct. For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky. I have Mr. Freeman with me. I'm trying to see if you can see me, but I can see you. For whatever reason, the video on my camera is showing okay, but it must not be coming through.
You've got a low bandwidth alert on my end.
That's what my family always said.
Mr. Kadensky, these going to be admissions or denials?
This would be an admission.
Okay. Then do we have to swear anyone?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do you want to make a proffer on behalf of them?
I'd make a proffer that of course, I don't want to go through everything that you heard before with the problems everybody's having. They're struggling. This particular licensee had really not even got a chance to get started too much and has no prior violations, trying to get everything together and run a business. On that particular day, he was having a party for his brother. They were over the amount. And since that time, he's had other inspections done, and he's passed the inspections and people have come in. So I think we take to treat this as an isolated occurrence, and hopefully that, somewhere on the line, this will all go away and we'll be back to seeing you all down at City Hall and doing the things we normally do. But he is very cognizant of the situation and has taken care of that.
Okay, do commissioners have any questions?
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
Do we have public testimony, Mr.?
If any member of the public wishes to testify before the board on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any member of the public using the raise your hand feature.
Thank you. Mr. Kadensky, on the basis that the materials contain the charging document, your proffer and admission on behalf of the licensee, I find violations of Rule 4.16 on February 27, 2021, and Rule 3.12 on February 27, 2021. This is a relatively new licensee with no history of violations, as you said, just getting started. And the court's very aware of all the problems that the pandemic has caused for our licensees. So we've been somewhat lenient. Again, I'll impose $50 fines as to each and give him 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, based on the proffer of Mr. Kudensky and the evidence presented in this case this morning, I would also find in violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct and violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare, which took place on February the 27th, 2021. I would concur with a fine of $50 for each offense, payable in 30 days.
Based upon the charging document, the proffers from Mr. Kudensky, I too find a violation of Rule 4.16 on February 27, 2021, and would concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.12 on February 27, 2021, and concur with the imposition of a $50 fine.
Yes, like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Robinson. Board Exhibit 2, Mayor Executive Order dated 2/22/21.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kadensky.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kudensky, and license holder. You will receive follow-up via U.S. mail from the board with instructions on what to do with your fine.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So,
Mr. Chairman, you ready for 3?
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
this is the reporter.
Oh,
Sorry, this is the report. Who was with Mr. Kudensky? Was that just because I couldn't see them?
He said Mr. Freeman.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Baranowski, you good?
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know if you had anyone else with him besides
Okay.
Mr. Freeman, but that's okay.
Moving on then. The third item before the board today, licensees Kyra Arts and Daniel Arts, D&D Arts LLC, trading as the Twins, 4020 East Lombard Street, 21224. Licensee holds a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee is alleged to have violated Rule 4.16 illegal conduct and Rule 3.12 general welfare, arising out of the same incident on February 26, 2021. I believe licensee is represented by Mr. Fogelman, who is now impaneled, and I believe licensee is with Mr. Fogelman.
Counsel, will you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of Tara and Daniel Arce. Can you see both of us and hear both of us?
I think so. Are these going to be admissions or denials, Mr. Fogelman?
This is an admission, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Will they need to testify?
Mr. Arce may want to just testify in mitigation. If you'll raise your right hand, Mr. Arce.
Let's swear him in.
Is Miss Arce there as well?
No, just Mr. Daniel Arce, co-licensee.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
He said yes.
Oh, Okay, thank you.
Ms. Fogelman, do you want to have him give an explanation of what happened on February 26th?
Yeah, I'll run through it pretty quickly. He was out of town for one night, and there was obviously a security breakdown. He understood that we were at 25% capacity, and he somehow his security guards thought they were at 50% capacity plus employees. These were employee security. He has since gotten rid of his own security and is hiring a company called American Professional Security out in Windsor Mill, who he thinks is doing a better job. He's also another business person, just as Mr. Kadinsky's client, who had less than 6 months of the normal world before COVID-19 hit. Obviously, everybody was excited to get back into the business, but it was never his intention to allow this many people to be in that establishment on February 26th. And Mr. Arce, would you like to just say something briefly?
Oh yeah, it was definitely a miscommunication between management and the security on the call that night. And they usually have a head count. They have a counter that they communicate between walkie-talkies inside and outside. And that night, the security guard just for some odd reason thought that we would be able to have 50%, including the patrons and the employees that night.
All right, so that's all we have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do the commissioners have questions?
I have no questions.
No questions.
We have public testimony. Mr. Blendy.
If any member of the public wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see anyone using the raise your hand feature.
Okay. Mr. Fogelman, then on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, the admission of the violations and proffers and testimony, I find a violation of Rule 4.16 on February 26, 2021, as well as a violation of Rule 3.12 on February 26, 2021. You're correct that this licensee has not had it very long and got hit with the pandemic, and for all the reasons that we've stated in the other cases, we are sympathetic to that. So I would impose $50 fines as to each violation and give him a 30-day time to pay the fines. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, based upon the testimony of Mr. Arce and the proffer of Mr. Fogelman, I also would find in violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, which took place on February the 26th, 2021. And I concur with the fine of $50 for each offense payable in 30 days.
Thank you.
Based upon the proffers from Mr. Fogelman, the testimony of Mr. Arce, I too would find a violation of Rule 4.16 on February 26, 2021, and concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on February 26, 2021, and concur with the imposition of a $50 fine with 30 days to pay.
Thank you. Ms. Russell?
Yes, I'd like to close this for the record. Board Exhibit 1, investigation report, Inspector Washington. Board Exhibit 2, Mayor Executive Order dated 2/22/21.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fogelman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Always a pleasure.
Mr. Fogelman, Mr. Arce, sorry for mispronouncing your last name. You will receive follow-up from the board instructions on how to pay the fine via U.S. mail.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for the final case?
Yes, sir.
The fourth and final case before the board today, licensee Lorraine Matthews, Sharon M. Matthews, and Raimundo Matthews Jr., Thunderettes Pleasure Club Incorporated, trading as Thunderettes Pleasure Club, 1322 North Milton Avenue, 21213. Licensee is a Class C beer, wine, and liquor license holder, and licensee is charged with 2 violations of the rules of the board, Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and Rule 3.12, general welfare, all stemming from an incident on February 20th, 2021. My understanding is Raimundo Matthews is the name that appears here on the panel and is representing the licensee. I'm looking for him is he visible? If you have a camera, Mr. Matthews, you need to turn it on, or if that's.
Oh, the camera. Oh man, I've been sitting.
Should be at the bottom, should say start video.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, allow.
There
Okay,
you are. All right, I'll ask
Right.
the reporter to swear
Yes.
Mr. Matthews
sir.
and whoever's going to testify on behalf of the board.
It looks like Inspector Tudhope, Inspector Robinson, and Chief Chris Amalis are listed in the summons.
Let's swear everybody.
Okay, I have a lawyer,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Fine.
and I'm hearing bits.
Okay. Ms. Baranowski?
Yeah, okay, there we go. Please raise your right hand.
So I've gone from hearing.
Okay. It looks like Mr. Matthews, we just lost his video. Looks
Yeah,
like there's,
he appears to be coming back, so.
yeah. Okay, please raise your right hand. Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of
I've gone from
perjury?
hearing everybody.
And please,
everybody.
and please state your name before your response. Inspector Tudhope.
Inspector Cindy Tudhope. I do.
Okay. Inspector Robinson.
Inspector Walter Robinson. I do.
And,
Pieces. I went from hearing everything to
Amalis.
basically hearing nothing at this consideration of court connection.
Yeah, sir, we can't see you, but we can hear you intermittently. We can see you again.
I can hear you. Okay, I can hear you as well, Mr. Blendy.
Okay, then the court reporter is taking the oath right now for you.
Okay.
I said I do. I heard most of it. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. You said I do, and then I just need the response for Chief Chris Amalis. I think you're on mute.
Chief Chris Amalis, I do. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's okay.
Mr. Matthews, I don't know if you've been observing all these hearings this morning with the lawyers, but you can either admit this and explain it to us, or you can deny it and we can have a full hearing. Which would you prefer?
Yes. Okay.
He's breaking up.
I'm sorry, sir.
I can admit it.
We weren't able
and
to hear you.
explain it to you. I can admit and explain.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So
I can
why
admit
don't you
it and explain.
tell us what happened on February 20, sir? Did you hear me, Mr. Matthews?
Man.
Sir, yeah, you're in and out, sir, but we can occasionally hear you. We can see you again, sir, if you want to try and talk.
Okay, I can talk now.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
I can hear now.
Go ahead. Please explain.
But I didn't hear any question.
What I said was.
Oh, so
February 20, please.
okay. Well, to the best of my knowledge, I had to respond to an emergency hot water tank break-in not too far from here. And when I left, I had a new door guy. I left. When I came back, I saw that the place was. I knew that we were over capacity given the numbers that we had. So I went to turn lights on and things of that nature. And I turned around, I come back. Of course, the task force was there, and they was like, man, look, we got a phone call. You guys are over capacity. And we proceeded to let people out, which I was in the process of doing anyway. The only thing that I would say is I know they had a guesstimate, an observation of maybe 100 people. I think it was probably half of that. But, again, the environment, the climate in which we were functioning today, I see how we could have easily been over such. When I talked to my security guy, he said he thought that 25% meant that we could use a quarter of the building. That's not the case at all, though. And I can admit to, being in violation. So that was what basically happened. I just want to say this one thing, and, the panel, the board can do. But, we've been here since 1964. I don't know if you guys can hear. We've been here since April 1960. We've been a pillar in the community. We've helped to subsidize for virtual learning for kids in school and things of that nature. I don't know if these guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
No, you can't hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I heard you, Mr. Matthews.
Everything was.
Can you hear us?
I'm not. Okay, I'm not sure, but you got okay. And that's basically that. That's basically that. This obviously there's pressure in this climate to keep things going, but it's not my intention to break law in any capacity. And I think some of you guys may have our record in front of you. It's pretty clean. It's pretty spotless over a 60-year period. And this is usually a safe space that is in compliance. Since then, though, we have I've met with the fire marshal's office, and they have consulted me on how to better create better egress for capacity issues, and how to better utilize the space and increase our capacity, because there were certain things. Well, what he was telling me, there were certain things that they use to determine what capacity is, and he was helping to create space and egress, like panic bars, and I bought doors and panic bars, and I removed some of the furniture so the spacing and things of that nature could help increase our capacity. So that's what we've done since then to make it a safer situation.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do commissioners have any questions?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Mr. Blendy, we have public testimony.
Does any member of the public wish to testify on this matter before the board? If so, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any evidence of any member of the public wishing to testify.
Okay. Mr. Matthews, can you hear me? Is he still with us?
I can hear you.
Okay. On the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents and your testimony, as well as your admissions, I find a violation of Rule 4.16 on February 20, 2021, and a violation of Rule 3.12 on February 20, 2021. I accept your explanation, and for all the reasons we've stated several times this morning, the difficulties, and I do recognize that this is quite an excellent record dating back into the 1960s. So I would impose nominal fines of $50 as to each violation and give you 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, based upon the testimony of Mr. Matthews, I would also find that they're in violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, and violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, which took place on February the 20th, 2021. I concur with the fine of $50 each for each offense. And I recognize that they do have a very clean record, and I just that thing will continue to stay that way.
I too appreciate, Mr. Matthews, your explanation and the clean record. I do find a violation of Rule 4.16 on February 20, 2021, concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.12 on February 20, 2021, and also concur with the imposition of a $50 fine.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit 2, Mayor's Executive Order dated 1/22/21.
Thank you, Mr. Matthews. Appreciate your testimony and your appearance today.
Thank you, and you will, sir, you will receive a follow-up with instructions on how to pay the fines via U.S. mail. Mr. Chairman, that concludes all the
I think
matters
I've heard at
before.
least 65% of it. I want to thank the panel, the board, and the inspector.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
And if you didn't hear, you'll be receiving follow-up instructions via mail. Mr. Chairman, that concludes all matters before the board today. Do you have anything further, or can I read the adjournment?
Let's adjourn.
All right. The board will be in recess until April 22nd, 2021. The board shall post on its website and provide notice to the applicants and or the attorneys and conduct a virtual hearing on this date. Please call our office at 410-396-4377 between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. with any questions or concern you may have on this or any other matter. That concludes everything, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bundy. See you next week.
Thank you, sir. Off the record.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.